Hi, are you gonna come into this video? Sorry we're a couple minutes late today. I taught a class at Downward Dog just now, and I feel like time just got away from me in the class a little bit. Those of you who watch this on the replay, you're like, what else? No big deal. But welcome. We'll all get settled together. You might have already read in the story. Today we'll work on a bit of pulling strength. So don't be scared if you're like, what does that even mean? I'll talk a little bit first before we get moving. But basically, so there's like so many different actions that your shoulder girdle can do. And a lot of the times in like a postural yoga class or practice, or in a Pilates practice, even if it's just mat based, it can be a lot of like pushing action, like think plank pushing, and not a whole ton of this, like pulling. So your optional props for today that we'll work with, and it'll be a little bit more workshopy than like a class. Because I know not everyone has props, and that's fine too. You'll be okay. But you might want something like this. Something like a dumbbell. Like this. Like I got a 10-pounder. Whatever you have will be fine. You'll get the point. And I think that as we go through it, it's going to make some sense of like, even if I didn't have this stuff, I could find something in my house that probably weighs about 10 pounds that I can do a pulling action with. So I'll show you that when we get there. I am going to clear some space so that I've got some hardwood to move on, but you don't necessarily need that. Moving my entire home gym of things that have just accumulated somehow into my room. Also, has anybody like found random stuff that they forgot that they had? I found like one of those big yoga balls yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, this thing. If people have a yoga ball, I feel like I wanted to develop a funny little thing to do with that. But we'll get there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get myself a towel and move this so I've got hardwood. So I'm just moving my floor out of the way so I have hardwood. If you only, buddy, get out of the way. Out, go. If you only have access to carpet, then this might be useful for you, this pulling thing I'm going to show you, if you have cardboard. But it's going to have to be a pretty big piece of cardboard, I think. But I'll show you. We'll get warmed up first. How about? If you need help clearing your space so that you've got something where you can slide, see how this slides? Eventually we're going to get there. I would show you, but like this cardboard, give little pieces of cardboard and a carpet. Wow, actually this might even slide better. I might use this on the hardwood later. But let's get you prepped first, now that I've got all these confusing things going on. Thank you for being here. Welcome. We're going to talk about the shoulder girdle and some pulling actions. So, does everybody have their broomstick? And I know that you can't really answer me, unfortunately, in this method, but I'm going to assume you do. So have your broomstick or your dowel, and we'll open the shoulders first. So take your hands as wide as the stick apart, some kind of stance that feels good to you, and watch out for things around you, but let your arms do a few shoulder passes. So these things are called shoulder passes. And as my arms lift up and overhead, I'm trying to keep my torso reasonably still, just so that this kind of thing doesn't happen. If you have to like bend your elbows and fight this behind you, try taking your hands wider. If you're like, but my stick's only this big, then get a longer object. So if you've got like a strap, a tie, a belt, you can use anything. And if I have something that has a little give to it, then I can start with my hands kind of narrow, but as they go overhead, I'm actively pressing them apart. Cool? Two more like that. Shoulder passes. Whatever you're holding on to, try to keep some pressure outward on it so you're not letting it collapse in. And then this time, arms back behind you and they stay there. So most of us will probably end up a little bit like this. So I want you to hone that in slightly, like without hurting yourself. Just pull the things back into alignment, but keep stretching your hands wider apart. Ooh, you can see I'm like actively widening my hands apart. No pressure in my head or neck. 2 more breaths. You can dance if you want to. Lift the arms back up and overhead and down and forward. Cool. So we've got a little bit of some stuff happening here. I want to prep the wrists, and for that I'd say have your dowel. Take the dowel palm up in one hand. This one is just a guide. Now make a fist around it. Imagine you're gonna punch towards your nose a bit, but then keep that fist going down toward the floor. Once you're in this position, use your right hand or whatever hand, this is my left, to pull it a little bit back towards you, but see how my shoulder wants to round forward? I'm trying to still hug the shoulder blade onto the back to open through my chest as I stretch my wrists. And Lolo, I hope you're still here and that you have a broomstick, because if you do, oh baby Lorena, you are feeling this wrist stretch. It's for you. 2 more breaths. And I like to do this one with some motion. So come back out of it and go back into it. And again, this hand is like just guiding. It's like a little pool stick. Mom, if you're watching, you might use an actual pool stick. And turning towards you. 1 more time. Pulling in, turning knuckles towards the ceiling, keep turning, and down towards the floor. Okay, other side. Same thing, hold the butt end. This one is the guide. Press the knuckles down toward the floor, keep that shoulder open, not rounded or hunched, and come out of it. You probably have an object like this at home that you can use, I hope. Be creative, you don't need specialized equipment. You can really like look around your home and find all kinds of things that can just give you different types of feedback in your body. Again, you don't really need anything other than yourself, but sometimes it can be interesting to use different tools to wake up. And this one, we didn't hold on the first one, so I'm gonna hold on this one. Ooh, keep sending knuckles to the floor. That's in Bill Withers, Grandma's Hands. I got Grandma's hands. Definitely gonna have arthritis at one point in my day, so for now, what I'm doing is active mobility and strength work in many ranges of motion so that I can keep things happy and moving before, stuff might happen. Okay, come back out of it, and that's good. Open and close, open and close. The dowel can go off to the floor. Make your way, if you have a mat, use it. If you don't, and you just have like sensitive knees, feel free to pad them up so that you've got some protection there. Not protection, but padding. And then from here, these are scapular push-ups. If you've been following along with this, you've done them already. I'm gonna let my head drop for the first one just so you can see. But I'll let my chest drop, squeeze the blades together, then do the opposite. Press into the floor and spread out the space between your shoulder blades. And chest sinks, blades move toward each other and the spine, and back away. You keep going. I'll show what it looks like from this side as well. Dropping chest towards the floor, blades move towards each other, and back up and away. And you might notice that as you do the squeezing or retracting of your shoulder blades, sometimes the shoulders also want to shrug to the ears, but those things are independent of each other. So try to do this whole movement, but I'm going to imagine pulling my hands towards my knees the entire range so that I'm never really letting my neck disappear because my shoulders are in my ears. Because there ain't no sunshine when your neck is gone. Okay, hold the puff this time. I want to puff anytime I'm in plank. And guess what? We're going next. So fortify, hands into the floor, spread out your fingers, step 1 foot back at a time, and end up in plank. Staying there for 4. I'm going to move my towel. 3, 2, wave to downward dog. Lift the hip. Ooh. Hold down dog. Wrap your armpits towards your heart. Rather than squeezing them together, you're doing the opposite. You're protracting, puffing, rounding. 1 more breath. Lift high to the ball joints of your feet. Wave forward to plank. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold your plank. Feel this feeling, kind of like boop, boop, save, and continue. Then lower your knees to the ground. I'll show you this. If you need a little break, feel free to take it. I will use a weight for the side. Just going to row my right arm up into, sorry, I don't have to be a mirror. It's my left. I always forget on Instagram Live. Once you get the point, do it. Rowing the weight up and resisting down. So I could do this like just actively, passively, but I'm really trying to keep now my shoulder blades somewhat retracted or squeezed together. I hope you were counting. Do about 10. I think this is 10 on me. Last one, rowing up. Hold. And resist the trip to the floor. And switch. So as I do this, single arm one at a time, you're rowing the weight right up towards your chest, hugging the elbow towards your midline, so it's not way up to the side like a chicken wing, and lowering down. And it's quite a bit of sneaky kind of core work for everything else that's still grounded. You don't necessarily need a weight. If you don't have the weight, don't stress out. But row your fist up to your chest and back down. Or like lower ribs, let's say. 2 more. Or wherever you're at, do 10. And hold your 10th row. Stay for a breath. With control, lower the weight to the floor, move it to the side, hands down, cat-cow. Round your spine, breathe in. And then back bend to breathe out. Lift the chest, fan the tail feathers up towards the ceiling. And do that 2 more times. Round your back, breathe in. Arch to back bend, breathe out. And last time. Inhale, spread out the shoulder blades well, but keep them out of the ears. And unwind to the back bend. So we've got some very basic kind of articulation and stuff going on there. So that is a pulling action. That like, this is a good pulling action. And if you look at it, I won't do it with a weight from here, but I'm hugging the shoulder into the place, keeping it in place as I row my arm in toward me. And you practice here and row up. Come up to tall kneeling and do that. Like row something towards you and back out. So keep going. That's one type of pulling. So you imagine heavy springs in front of you, pull them towards you, like row and toward, and row back out. Look, I make myself shake. The brain is powerful. Be careful what you do with it. Last one, get an extra. Pull, hold the pull. Try to squeeze the elbows behind your back more. But if these guys popped out, hug them down. One more breath. Extend both arms forward. Lift them up and overhead. So now we'll work in the overhead range. Palms face towards you. Imagine pressing the palms into like a wall in front of you. And while I'm here, I'm still also sending my tailbone towards the floor and keeping the crown of my head lifting. Now I fake a pull-up, bending my elbows, sending my thumb tips towards my armpits. Try to lift yourself up like a pull-up and go back out. So doing that again, pulling the ceiling down towards me, or me towards the ceiling, lifting, and back out and up. And you can see I'm shaking a bit. So I'm unshrugging, and then pulling from my lats, and back up. One more time. This will be an important movement to know for where we're going. It's exciting. And back up. Hold here, circle arms, I can't speak, all the way around, and then unshrug. You take a second. I'm showing you the second position. Mama, you're here. You might need your cardboard, but I don't know if it's gonna work, to be honest. You might need to move into a different room, so you've got a blanket and a hardwood. But let's see, amigos. So, I'm gonna set my blanket up in a place where I can slide on my floor. And I'm gonna try not to make this like really frustrating from the get-go for you. So start on hands and knees. And minimizing like any wagging of the tail. Take one hand forward, pull that way, and then other hand forward. Once you got a bit of momentum going, it might feel a bit more natural. Once I'm all the way at the front, I'm just gonna push myself back. As I pull, start with your hand like not too far forward or it'll be impossible. It's like my legs are just stuck. I'm like a little dog on wheels, and I'm pulling forward with my hands. Try it again. I'll show it from the side too, if that's helpful. So I'm in hands and knees, legs together. One hand goes a little forward, I start pulling, and I continuously pull until I'm like out of frame. So one more time on hands and knees, push yourself back. And then palming your hand onto the ground. Trying to keep a puff between your shoulder blades, okay? Puff them. Protract, also known as. Once you're all the way forward, if you've been doing it, open, close, open, close, open, close, flick your fingers. So this you might not have access to all this stuff now. Maybe you like save it, know it's gonna be up for 24 hours, and then come back to it when you're in a place where you can pull. But I'll show you the next thing we're gonna do. You keep actively recovering, flicking fingers, or doing any kind of like arm movements that feel good. I'll show you the next thing. So you'll lay your blanket down, or your huge piece of cardboard if you're on carpet, and then lay yourself down onto your object. Once I'm there, first one, start with your hands not too far forward, maybe a little forward of the chest. And like shout out to Catherine Bruni Young and Cecily for showing me this many moons ago. Heads of shoulders are open, so I'm not rounding or crushing or shrugging. And then I pull myself forward, keep going and press. Pull, pull, and press. Once I run out of space, and for me in this space, I only get like 2. Too bad, forgot my mansion somewhere else. Dealing with a little Parkdale place. Pull, 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 and then push. And you'll get to a point probably where it feels like, oh, I just want to shrug, but try not to shrug. Use the muscles under your armpits to find this pull and press. Like any life out there, hopefully someone's enjoying this. I'm gonna do one more just because I am enjoying it. So I should mention, your legs have to be active. The core is on, glutes are squeezing. Pull yourself forward like you're stuck in a swamp, because we kind of are. And last one, pull forward out of the swamp. And then you're like, oh, hey, it's my friends. It is very hard, Lauren, you are correct. But we've done very hard things before. And yeah, Megan Crumb, it's totally a good reminder to like clean the floors. I think mine actually like have a bit of sticky residue from other stuff, so that's fun. If you have a long band, another way to pull is stepping on the long band. I like crossing, hinging forward from the hips, and finding a little, like just enough resistance that this is tricky. This band just like might not be quite strong enough. I might grab lower. I'm pulling up so that I feel some work on the way up and on the way down. Yeah, pulling up, up, and controlling the lower. So if you've got something like this, do it. And if you don't, use the mind to create this resistance. Or a weight, yeah? Flowing weights up towards you, and resisting down just like it was an elastic TheraBand, okay? Up, up, and back, down, down. Swamp life. It's true. And back down. We'll do 2 more like that. Rowing, activating the back of your body. We don't often see it, so it's hard. Last one, pull, pull, and resist back down. Stand up nice and tall. If you have one of these things, another thing that's fun is doing it upright and rowing. Weights go wide and weights go back down. Going into your pockets, pulling whatever out, and back down. So these are very nice things you can do. That's just an idea. But since we're set up, let's do another round of the pull-ups on the floor. So setting yourself up one more time. I'm gonna try my cardboard this time and see if the cardboard works at all. It feels like it should be slipperier. Setting up on my cardboard, oh yeah. Oh my God, I'm gliding. Mom, cardboard is the best idea. So, same thing, sticky hands. So first thing I do is I slurp my arm bones into my shoulder sockets and I pull towards. And I've actually got way better control on this because it's less resistance, so it feels like less load. So you kind of see that happen. One straight long line through the body, shoulders out of the ears, pull forward like your thumbs want to brush the sides of your body, and go again. You love it? They love it. Okay, things off to the side. Let's put that pulling stuff to test and see how it applies to our push-up. I'm gonna unfold my whole rug. Very glamorous today. And then into my plank pose. Puff between the shoulder blades at the top of your plank. And then imagine a pulling action. So leaning slightly forward and then trying to pull yourself to the floor. Just reframe how you look at it. Once you're down, roll the heads of the shoulders down the back, lift your hands for a sec, keep the chest that open, hands go down, and press yourself back up to the top. And doing that again, bending elbows, lowering everything in one piece, everything in the body touches at once, hover the hands, keep the chest open, press back up. Your butt is very important. Use the tush to help to support your core so that there's no soggy banana in the middle of your push-up. Bending elbows, pull yourself down towards the floor, lift the hands, and then press back up. One more time just for fun. Pulling yourself down towards the floor, lift the hands down, press back up, and from there, lower your knees. One cat-cow, round your spine, breathe in. Exhale, back bend. Find something in between that feels real good, and we'll stay there. So if you need a little wrist break, let's turn the palms so they face up and be on the top part of your hands. This seems like a good time to talk about the wrists. Stay here for 3, 2. If this is too much, you can always be here instead. Hold the top of the hand and gently pull it towards you. So either stay like this or tuck toes and lift knees. You're just getting used to a different way of loading your wrists. You can also walk the legs back into plank. And mostly it's just your mind being like, oh, we can't do that. Oh, there's no way. Start on your knees and see how that feels. I bet you can. Lower the knees to the floor, sit back, slowly peel the weight off. Very gentle, any kind of wrist movement. It's like you're waving to all your other friends. You might send a wave. Okay, second wrist stretch we'll do right now. Thumbs, tuck them inside of your hand. Wrap all your fingers around, hide your thumbs. Fists go forward. Then the hole where your thumb used to be, let that be up. Then there's a liquid inside there, and you're just gonna pour the liquid toward me. You might feel a stretch through like this inner part of your wrist, where your thumb comes out, and back up. Do that 2 more times. Little tip forward, and back up. And straight forward. Hold this one. Either stay here if you already feel like an adequate stretch. If you want this part, like where your thumb used to be, that part on the floor. So I'll place that part on the floor. It's not your knuckles, it's where your thumbs used to be. And I go pretty close to my knees, so it's not a ton of pressure, but I am squeezing my fingers around my thumb to keep some kind of activation. 2 breaths, or you're staying on your knees and tipping your thumb away. This kind of wrist stuff is really important for the sustainability of your practice so that you can practice until you're like 100 and not be like, I just do whatever I want to my wrists and I don't really think about any kind of repercussions. You want longevity. Do this for life, not just for like a few months in isolation. Flick, 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 flick. We'll go back to push-ups. 3, 2. So you know you have options. Empower yourself, and if the push-up is not going well on your chosen place, then find the edge of something to go onto. So your hands are higher than your feet, and that makes the load a little easier. So you're not horizontal, but you're a little upward. Pull yourself towards your floor or the object, and press back up. Bending elbows going down, and pressing back up. I'm gonna go for 8. And basically, just like feel it out in your body. You want to go to enough repetitions until it starts to fall apart a little. And then once it falls apart a little, you've done enough. You don't have to do more. But you want to work to the point of fatigue. I'm going to do 1 more. It's starting to feel like it's going to fall apart. Hold at the top. Then instead of down dog, because my hands are lifted, I'm just going to send my hips back. Keep my hands on the object, but relax my head. Oh my God, that feels good. For me anyway. Staying for 4. 3. Stand on 2 feet. Hands are heavy. Roll yourself up 1 bone at a time. Head will arrive last. Once you're at the top, take a big clearing. Both arms, big circle, all the way around and back behind you, and back forward. 2 more like that. Reaching around. Is that better than from the knees? I think so. That's a good question. Thank you for asking, Dee. Modifying a push-up by lifting up your hands so your legs can stay straight rather than go the other way, rather than bringing the knees down is ideal, because the rest of the mechanics of my push-up are still in place. Whereas when my knees are down, like that's fine if you can't have your hands higher, but if my knees are down, I'm just not quite connected the same. So I'll show you an example of what I mean. When you've got your knees down, you're still going to use your butt and make it active, but it's just a little bit different than if I've got my legs straight. So I'm lowering, I'm still going full range of motion, chest and thighs to the floor, and then pressing back up. Always full range of motion. Try to build your push-up in the range you want it. So like rather than doing little like pulse things and just being like, yeah, I got him, I got him, I got him, these are good forever. You're actually building like quite a bit of imbalance, let's say, which is also why the pulling. So one more set. Hands to your chosen object. And I'm gonna show one more option, like right from a table. Sorry for screaming, I didn't have to scream. How's this table? You can kind of see, how about from here? I don't know who I'm asking. No one's gonna answer me. Just talk to myself all day. Okay, so once I've got my hands and knees here, shout out Alex Melgrove. Long legs, lifted heels, and I might need to finesse, so I'm gonna lower down until my chest gets towards here, and I feel that my butt's in the same line, and then I press back up. So I'm in a plank, it's just my elbows are bending in my plank, and then my elbows are straightening in my plank. Nothing else changes. Butt is like, oh yeah, I'm helping. I think it's the best like secret to your whole push-up. Also, try with hands wider. Notice how that feels, like you're widening your chest, still the sensation of pulling to the table or like pulling to the floor. And I'm not leading with my head. I'm gonna go for 2 more here, you do you. After the last one, I'll hold at the top of my plank, fortify the whole position, and take a breath calmly. Then sending hips back. So this is a good example here on my table. Just gonna let my head hang heavy. My hands are still on the table, and I'm wrapping my armpits ever so slightly toward the floor with soft knees. Head is dangling, like all the cares in the world can dump out, like Control Alt Delete, empty trash, get rid of them. One more breath. And come on back up, stack your spine. Okay, last bit of fun today, and it'll be more like different conditioning. The class you didn't know you needed today, awesome. Well, thank you for my angle. Aiken approves. Okay, so last thing we'll do today is a little shoulder, nice reconditioning. So laying down onto your back, knees can be bent so that you've just got your, spine nice and long, no stress. Arms out wide to the side, elbows and backs of hands and backs of shoulders touching, ideally. If that's not happening, or your chin feels like it's up towards the ceiling, no problem. I'm just gonna grab a little towel and I'll put it behind my head, if that's you, so that I can feel just a little more of my lower ribs sinking into the floor while I do this. Okay, so maybe a little towel if you want. And arms stay glued towards the floor. Straighten them up and overhead, but try to keep the backs of the hands and the backs of your elbows and shoulders on the floor. Hold at the top. If you felt a little gap between your lower ribs and the ground, eliminate that by calling on your abdominal strength and core. And do that again, bending elbows to the sides, all the way. Try to touch your elbows into the side of the body. Might not be possible, but go towards that. And then do that again. It's not quite a snow angel, it's more like going from like a W into a V and back into the W. Close your eyes, try to feel the back of your spine on the floor, the back of your hands and wrists and elbows on the floor. Soften through your teeth, soften the space between your eyebrows, and breathe. 2 more. And we're kind of still pulling here, just different. Last one, bend the elbows in tight toward you. And end with the arms reaching up and overhead. Notice if you can keep more of the spine on the ground in this position. That's it. And roll onto your stomach. Just roll right onto your front. straighten the legs if they're not already. Have your right elbow, or let's say this is left elbow bent right outside of the shoulder, hand in a 90-degree bend shape. Cool. Look away from the bent elbow, so I'm gonna look towards my right. Use my right hand to roll completely onto my side. And once I'm on my side, I'm just gonna slide my elbow further out towards the left, but try to roll the head of my shoulder away from the ground. So my chest isn't caving to the floor, but I'm trying to kind of lift my upper arm bone and roll it back into the socket. 2 more breaths. Big chest stretch. Come back through center, roll onto your front. We'll switch, so other side. Right elbow bent right outside of the shoulder. And what I mean by the head of the shoulder off the floor is like roll your arm bone away from the ground. Try to keep your arm bone and chest away from the ground as you use your other hand to roll onto your side body. And like I will sometimes move my flesh a little bit, like my boob kind of under me and away more, if you've got those. Maybe move tissue, just so that you can be as comfortable as possible, even though this might feel like quite tight. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. Welcome to being a human. 2 more breaths. Especially on your dominant side. Like, wow, this is my right side. It feels kind of cray tight. You come back onto your front. Dome your fingers a little forward, wider than your shoulders. Rolling cobra. 1 bone at a time. Peel the chest forward and up. Just gentle back bend, nothing crazy. And unwind forward and back down. Tops of feet actively pressing down, just so that you've got length in your lower back and you're not taking it so high there's a huge dip there. Think about pulling forward. That might make sense here. 1 more. I'm going to move my hands slightly further back towards me. Peeling up a little different. And again, literally pull your hands towards you as you wave back down. Very nice. Palms to the ground, sit up into hands and knees. 1 last cat-cow. Move your spine around. Let it articulate through different shapes. Okay. Welcome to being a human is right? So that's the stuff. Is the wall okay for a push-up? That's a good question too, thank you. Yes. So it's like just a bit different. On the wall, it's kind of harder where I have to place my hands in a place where once I'm on my tippy toes, so that I've got like activity through my legs, and you'll lower down towards it. So I would move my hands so that when I get there, I'm a bit more like nipple height, and then pressing back up. You can see my face kind of runs into the wall a bit, but it's okay because I'm finding this like really nice form in my upper back and just taking a bit of the load out of it. Lana, awesome. Yeah, I just feel like I want to use sometime once in a while to break down things that often in group classes maybe get a little rushed through of like, just do a push-up or do whatever. Here taking a bit more time to break it down so it doesn't quite flow the same way, but maybe is some informative stuff to chew on.